Hello and welcome to Miss Charlotte Astrology. My name is Charlotte. I'm a full-time working astrologer, and on this channel I analyze the astrological charts of public figures. Very often they are celebrities. In this case, I mean, she was a celebrity. I think now she is become almost like this tragic figure of childhood stardom, hopefully like she can have her Macaulay Culkin, triumph and, have that abundance and get it. She has her North Node is with Venus. So I have that. I do hold out hope for her. She's going through her nodal return right now. And she's getting a lot of sympathy and understanding now. That's kind of understanding that she didn't get 10 years ago when she was making wild tweets. Wild. I was there. It was crazy. She didn't. But I'm glad that she's getting the sympathy now. There was that documentary that came out about Nickelodeon that exposes a lot of the terrible behavior of the producers and the people that were creating these children shows. And yeah, that's just it's been talked about a lot in pop culture lately. And so what I wanted to do is have a look at Amanda Bynes' chart. And yeah, just understand where she's coming from, where she's going, and just hopefully help you guys understand what's happening here. So Amanda is she's an Aries sun with an Aquarius moon and a Gemini rising and a 12th house Venus intercepted, not comfortable, and a North Node at 0 degrees in Aries in that 12th house. So there's just a lot going on here. Yeah. Oh, by the way, before I just dive in even more, I have my readings at the moment as I'm doing this, 50% off my 60-minute Zoom readings where you meet me in person, 30% off my 20-minute recorded readings MP3 that I sent your email. You can book those below. Best way to support me, do it now before all the slots run out, because I'm going to go on sabbatical, and then once I do, my prices are going to increase. Okay, so do it now. That's why I'm doing this. Before I go on vacation. I'm very tired. Okay, let's have a look at this chart. So what I can tell about this was that her home was very unhappy. In fact, her home was the film set, or the set. Her moon is on the midheaven. So when you have your moon in a public house, that's specifically the 10th or 11th, it's got cult leader kind of energy. Even though she's not a cult leader, it's someone that could garner a lot of following, a big following, because she's a very sympathetic, charming, vulnerable public figure, right? The moon is the softest part about you. It governs this 4th house down here, right? Her 4th house is empty, and the planet that governs the 4th house is way at the top in the work house. She is a workhorse. It gives family business. If she's a child star, it gives family business. It's also someone who, she enjoyed being on stage, and she enjoyed like acting and saying, look at me, because the moon's in a public chart. Like she felt the warmth of the stage lights, and they lit her up for a time. Like she really enjoyed doing that. But when you take it to another level, you could, that part of her, that bright, shiny Aquarius moon on the midheaven could be abused, right? She could be, it's a very vulnerable moon. She could be hurt. And look at all these like squares. Pluto square the moon. Her home does not look happy. It just, I just don't think her parents are these wholesome people. I don't see that here. I'm not saying they were 1000% terrible people or they didn't love her or anything like that, but I wouldn't be surprised if she's a workhorse. She was, you know what? She was a show pony. She was a mix of a workhorse and a show pony. She's got Pluto in the 6th. Her south node is in the 6th. So that is when you see Pluto, that's health issues. Like that, it can be health issues if they're not taking care of themselves. The south node in the 6th house, so close to Pluto, is like she is worked to the bone. Wake up at 5, on set at 7, film, 3-hour class, get back to filming. It's like that. It's just like she's in a hamster wheel. This South Node in the 6th house with Pluto, that's her stuck in a very dangerous hamster wheel. She's so regimented, and then eventually she's going to spin out of control because her North Node of destiny and what she's good. It's about the 12th house. It's about releasing control and having no structure. She had so much of that early on in life that when she grew up and she retired, she's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to enjoy my money and substances and have no structure. Like the 12th house is it's an addiction house. It's a spiritual house. It's heaven, but it's hell too, right? And that's where she went, numbing out her feelings by taking substances and staying in hotel rooms and being a bit of a vagabond. That's the 12th house. I mean, it doesn't always have to play out like that necessarily, but the North Node in the 12th house is about the release of control. And very often people have lovely aspects to it, which make it easy or make it more pleasant. But sometimes people are in their nightmares, if they don't have some help. If they can't release control and they don't have other people around them to watch over them and take care of them and love them, then it's going to turn into a problem. The Venus here it's a nice conjunction with Venus, though. It is abundance, it's money, it's love. I could argue that, her destiny is to learn to love herself, to take care of herself, and put herself first, because she has a sun in Aries as well that is not too far away. So, I mean, that's what makes it hard as well with North Node with the sun, is that someone can just be so selfish. But this selfishness comes from trauma, because she was so selfless. She was so selfless, serving people, putting on a show, waking up early, going to bed late, running, and not really having a home life. Like, look how empty this 4th house is. Ideally, she should be with someone with Leo placements, Virgo placements, someone who isn't afraid to oppose her. She needs someone to ground her into the base of her chart, the foundation. Because the 4th house, the 3rd, 4th, 5th house, that's the foundation of your chart. That's your friends, that's your family, that's your pleasures and hobbies and leisures, right? So she needs to be with someone that can fill out that chart. Yes, they would challenge her. It might not always be pleasant to hang out with someone that has placements that oppose yours or squared yours, but sometimes they cover your blind spots. So keep that in mind. Just because you're a Pisces and someone is a Scorpio, it doesn't mean that they're perfect for you, right? What if you're a Pisces, but you need a Virgo, because you got Virgo at the bottom of your chart, and they're going to ground you into this healthy energy, and they're going to be the type of person that you have to sit down and have a meal with, right? So that's what she needs. Someone who's like, hey, let's chill out. Let's watch movies all night. Let's talk. Let's play board games. She needs some wholesome energy here. It's empty because all of her personal placements are at the top of her chart. She's a performer. She has a Mercury in the 11th house with Jupiter, with part of fortune. I would love for her to write a book. Like, Amanda Bynes, if you are watching this, I love you. You should tell your story. If you want to, however you can. I would love for you to tell your story. I'm wondering if she's not allowed to, though, because there are squares here. Saturn square, Uranus square. There are things that are bigger than her. There are patriarchs or patriarchal figures or systems that are in place to stop her expressing herself. Maybe she should just tell the story anyway. I don't know what consequences there are for that, though. The entertainment industry is a dark business. But if she had a story to tell, it would be a wild tale. And it would probably make her a lot of money. Because she's got part of fortune in the 11th. Everybody would buy that book. Everybody. Yeah. She has, I just did a Maddie Healy synastry with Taylor. She's got it's not the same, but it's a similar energy. Her sun in Aries plays out in the 12th house. So even though she's in Aries, she's a very Piscean Aries. So she is, Aries, She is aggressive. It's a masculine sun, like very brave. And I think that's the reason why she was such a good performer. And she was really good at making make-believe because she's a 12th house Aries sun. And there's this girl next door quality about her. I mean, look at her. She's beautiful. She was the girl. There's something angelic and wholesome about her. But it was corrupted because the 12th house is the enemy, secret enemy house. It's the manipulation house. It's the abuse house as well. So not an easy placement. I think she was exploited for her beauty. I think this could also, I'm looking at her Mars as well. Oh God. You know what I'm going to say now? You know what I'm going to say, those of you who've been watching for a while. What do I call the Mars-Neptune conjunction? What do I call it? The hooker Mars. Mars in Pisces, Mars in conjunction with Neptune, that is a hooker Mars. Either you can exploit your own sexuality or other people exploit it, and maybe sometimes it's both. The Mars is exalted in Capricorn, which is a great placement, but because there's Neptune in such a tight conjunction, her sexuality could be abused. Her time could be abused. Her work ethic could be abused. You know, come on, if you do this, we're gonna be successful, we're gonna make it. She had a lot riding on, there's a lot riding on her success. Other people, she was, as a child star, she was almost an institution. She was supporting her family, she was supporting a network. That's a lot of responsibility. And then she just kind of, quite rightly too, lost her mind. This Neptune squares her sun. This Mars, the Mars doesn't necessarily square her sun. I feel like the orb is too big, but it is in a squared off sign. So it's exhaustion. So when your Mars, especially in conjunction with Neptune, if it squares the sun, overworking can lead to addictions. Overworking can lead to being, perpetually abused. It's just, she has been exploited 1000% with this placement. And it's in the 8th house of sex, death, and regeneration. Having a Mars in the 8th house, that's a placement that is, not every single person with Mars in the 8th house is going to be abused, actually, but it's associated with that. Neptune in the 8th house, that they have dark secrets. They've swum in murky, dark, deep waters. They've drowned in them. That's a hard placement as well. It's a dangerous placement, and she's constantly trying to numb herself so she doesn't have to remember what happened to her. Her Mars trine Venus in Taurus. What's really interesting? She's got my placements. She's got the same sun as me, the same Venus as me, the same Mars as me. I've got better aspects in my chart, and I have my charts more at the bottom. I'm more grounded. She's not grounded at all. She's all up in the air, unfortunately. But yeah, she does have that Mars-Venus trine. That's her beauty, her sexuality and her beauty. It's very earthy. It's very sexy placement. Very sexy. She's very, if we're going to take this placement in the most positive, highest possible way, it's a very sexy, seductive earth goddess kind of energy. And it's very wholesome too, because remember, earthy is wholesome, but it's dirty, the soil. Mercury in Pisces, that is a bit prone to mental illness, but she's funny. This is that 11th house. It's got she writing books, very creative, designer. She's got all of that. She's got a lot of talents. It's a mutable Mercury, so she's got, and it's in a water sign. So she's truly an artist. She has an artistic soul. I wish she would make art. You know what? If she's not allowed to speak, if she's not allowed to write a book, if she's not allowed to do an interview, you know what? Get some paints, get some pencils, and draw. Draw, paint, do the thing, express us. She would sell art. She would make a fantastic, she should be an artist. She doesn't want to be an actress. She doesn't want to be a writer. She doesn't want to be a fashion designer. She could be an artist. She has difficult relationships. Saturn in the 7th house, people with that, they're looking for a forever love. They want to be married, but it can take a long time to get there. It can take them to even well after 40 to find that person. With Saturn in the 7th house, it is a bit of a divorce placement. I know she's been engaged, but that's obviously fallen through. And then there's Uranus here as well. So people are in and out of her life. It's like a revolving door at a hotel. It's so hard to hang on to people when they're coming in, but they're going out. It's how are you supposed to, and she's just stuck in this this revolving doorway, and she's frazzled. Like, that's the energy of her 7th house. It can be so difficult. Juno's here, so being married is very restrictive for her. I don't think marriage is necessarily for her, though. She needs, like, having a strong, loving commitment without a contract. I feel like she could easily, if she signed a contract, it would be like a handler. Like, she shouldn't be with a handler. I think she needs to get away from show business. She should be a full-time artist, for sure. For sure. Saturn is really nicely aspected with her midheaven and her moon, actually. So she can find like a really stable environment, like stable friendships, like that would help her with her businesses or with creativity. That's quite nice. But yeah, the Pluto Venus opposition, you know who else has a Pluto Venus opposition in the same signs? Ariana Grande, who was another alleged victim of the Nickelodeon producer. Amanda Bynes has the same Venus-Pluto aspect as Ariana Grande. Do you see where I'm going here? Like, yeah. Yeah. And then, yeah, the moon, and then this T-square with the moon, she's just pulled apart. It's hard when you have a moon Venus square, because a square means conflict. It's a contradiction. The moon is your emotional nature, right? It's how you process your feelings and your emotions. It's the most intimate part of you. It's the thing that you need to feel settled and at home. The moon in Aquarius is not, it's not the best moon placement. That's not me talking shit about Aquarius moon, because I love Aquarius moons, but it is a hard moon to have, because you very early on in life, it's very unstable. Look at Marilyn Monroe, look at Princess Diana, Britney Spears, Aquarius moons, right? Abandoned by their parents in some way. Even if their parents love them, you know, I'm sure there was some love, but it's a very unstable environment where the child feels abandoned. Aquarius moons have a very hard time. And then it makes them very unpredictable emotionally. It makes it really hard for them to regulate their feelings. And then on top of that, it's on the public stage. It's on the midheaven. So people in the world, like around her, like, dance, monkey, dance. It's a lot of emotional labor for her to be playing a role. Even she said that working on She's the Man was very traumatic for her, having to act like a boy, and like, she puts her whole heart into her performances. She puts a piece of herself into it, and it messed her up a bit. Now, having this moon in Aquarius, an unstable sign, in a work public house, squares off with this Venus, which just really wants to be hugged and really, really wants to have a private, intimate life. I want someone to love me for me. I feel like she got into intimate relationships, either romantic, sexual, or both, that were forbidden from her, like maybe affairs with other people. Or like, I don't know that for sure, but generally when you have a Venus in the 12th house, it's like forbidden love. It can play out that way. Falling in love with people that aren't good for you. Like, people with Venus in Pisces or Venus in the 12th house, they can fall in love with criminals, drug addicts. I didn't she do that? She fell in love with someone she met through, like, I don't know, some kind of Alcoholics Anonymous or something. Like, some kind of therapy, rehab, something, right? That's where she met her fiance. So I'm not surprised about that. I have heard some things about her being with the Hemsworth brother when he was already with Miley Cyrus. So I've heard about that. I don't know how true that is, but there's a picture of them together and it looks kind of like, aren't they kissing? I don't know. I didn't like, I saw lots of things about that. So yes, not an easy Venus. Ultimately, she needs to learn how to love herself. She needs to be able to have access to her money, but I think she needs help with finances. I'm not saying that she needs to be in some kind of conservatorship, business model conservatorship, but I do think she needs help here. The Venus is nicely aspected with some things. The North Node is nicely aspected with some things. If she wants help, she needs to go after it. She needs to employ, like, I feel like for her, right, I feel like I'm unfit. I'm going to employ a personal trainer. And hopefully she has the money to do this. If she can employ a personal trainer, she can employ a chef or a cook. She can employ, like, and I know it's sad to say she has to employ people around her to keep her stable, but I mean, that might be good for her if she can choose. if she can choose, I think she could do well and just live off the money that she's made since she was a child. She has a right to do that. So yeah, if she were my client, she were coming to me, I'd just be like, if you want to, like, this is what you should do. Get yourself a personal trainer, get yourself a private chef, and see where it goes from there. And also take some horse riding lessons. Do a course in something. Like, just put the money to work. Become an artist. Paint some pictures. Take some art classes. That's what I would tell her. Anyway, guys, that's her chart. Oh, by the way, she's got that Lilith on the ascendant. Very Marilyn Monroe. So it's a sexy placement. It's like a destructive placement in Chiron as well. That's the insecurity around her physical appearance. Like, she thinks she's ugly. She's the most gorgeous girl in the world. The girl, like, look at her. Angel. But because of this Chiron and Lilith on the ascendant, like, deeply insecure about her appearance, even though she's literally perfect looking. But she also has a lot of sexual desires projected onto her, abused quite young potentially. Marilyn Monroe had her Lilith in the first house, and she had a very difficult childhood, and she was abused very badly. So it's a difficult placement. I'm not saying that every single person with a Lilith on the ascendant is going to experience that, but people can really project their desires onto you and their fears onto you with this placement. Yeah, the Chiron on the ascendant is the insecurity around her physical appearance as well, and abuse might have perpetuated that. Yeah. Anyway. We love you, Amanda. Always will. Please, if you can tell your story, even if it's through pictures, do that. If you can't talk about it, you can't write about it, draw the pictures. Paint a portrait. You'd make a lot of money from it. She would. She's talented. She's an artist. Amanda, you're an artist, and you're a fantastic one. I know you are. You know you are. Pick up a pen, pick up a brush, do something. All right, guys, thank you so much for that. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed this, and we wish Amanda well. And I'll see you next time on my YouTube channel. Bye.